On3 Sports has released its SEC power rankings during the spring practice season. Where's Tennessee? Maybe you'll be surprised where they place the Volunteers in the SEC East. More on that. Plus, it's opening day in baseball. Where are former Vols playing in the minor league systems and in the show? We'll tell you that here on a Thursday. Locked on Vols.
You are Locked on Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into this edition of Locked on Vols, your Thursday edition. Locked on Vols, your team every single day. Thanks so much for making Locked on Vols your first listen. I really do appreciate that. I'm your host, Eric Kane, at _Kaner on Twitter, and at Locked on Vols is where you can follow the show. And if you're watching on YouTube today, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you so much. You'll see that I'm donning an Atlanta Braves jersey. Well, today is opening day, so we'll get a little baseball talk, but it'll be Vol related regarding Major League Baseball, minor league baseball. That's coming up later in the show, but a fun show I want to get into. Man, I know it's kind of the slower months in terms of radio, in terms of podcasting, because we know what drives the ship. It's Tennessee football, right? But I love list season. We've already gone over a couple of lists, preseason rankings, way too early rankings going into spring practice. There'll be more lists leading up through the late spring into the summer. And then we will be at SEC Media Days before you know it and get set for kicking off the 2022 campaign. But I love list season. And On3 Sports has issued its SEC Power Rankings. So we're going to have more on that. But first, I do want to remind you that today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. It's got you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. More on that later when we talk baseball as well. But these On3 Power Rankings, if I were to tell you right now, if you were to list 1 through 14 right now in this offseason, heading into the season of 2022, lots can change, where would you pit the Vols out of 14 in terms of a power ranking? I would have them somewhere around 5 to 6-ish, somewhere around there. And On3's Jesse Simonton, shout out for the new gig, Jesse Simonton, formerly of VolQuest.com and SEC Country. He has Tennessee as the 5th team in his SEC power rankings. This is what Jesse wrote. Tennessee, could this actually be the year of the return of Rocky Top? Is it real? Josh Heupel has the perfect trigger man for his offense and quarterback Hendon Hooker, and the Vols could legitimately make their case as the second best team in the SEC East this fall. That is, if the Vols can figure out how to play some defense. Tennessee is going to score points in bunches, but unless it finds a way to stop someone, and then he puts in parentheses, UT allowed nearly 30 points per game last season, better than only Missouri and Vanderbilt, it won't matter. While Tennessee's secondary is super thin this spring, defensive coordinator Tim Banks still needs to find an answer or two heading into the fall. So yeah, I agree with pretty much all that, right? I mean, the offense is going to score in bunches. You're not going to take a step as a team until you can come around defensively. It's stuff we talk about on this show all the time, right? We know that the secondary is thin. We know that Tennessee's thin in a number of spots, not just at cornerback, but really at safety as well. Reinforcements are going to be on the way. Remember, Tennessee got the commits of Wesley Walker of Georgia Tech, and he's going to come in and play some safety and star. Tennessee will bring in Jordan Thomas, a part of that 2022 signee class. He's a safety. Tennessee will bring in Christian Harrison, the son of Rodney Harrison, to play cornerback. He is a 2022 class signee as well. So there will be some reinforcements added a little bit. At linebacker, Caleb Perry is going to be added to this class, of Kentucky, and he's part of that class, a 2022 signee as well. So there'll be some reinforcements that'll come to help. And I would imagine that Tennessee would obviously attack the transfer portal if there's a linebacker that's there, if there's a cornerback that is there and it makes sense, multiple years of playing experience, then I would imagine that Tennessee would take some swings. And I mean, Tennessee's going to bring in some players to the portal in this offseason. I promise you that. Once spring is over, this new wave, once summer hits, all that. So, I agree with Jesse's synopsis here of Tennessee, but here's where it's interesting. The Vols could legitimately make their case as the second best team in the SEC East this fall. So in Jesse's 14 1 through 14 SEC power rankings right now, released by On3 Sports earlier this week, he has Tennessee as the second best team in the SEC East. The leader, well, it's been the leader there for a while. It's Georgia, and we'll get into the rest of the field 1 through 14 here in just a moment. But Tennessee is the second best team in the SEC East, right behind Georgia, who again just won a national championship. So, yeah, I'm kind of with Jesse. I mean, can Tennessee take a step out? And why not? Florida is down right now. South Carolina is a little bit on the rise, kind of like Tennessee last year. They kind of had parallel seasons, but Tennessee did it in a more impressive fashion. Sure, South Carolina might have had some better wins towards the end of the season, but goodness, Florida was atrocious there at the end. Kentucky is a very, very solid football team. Very solid football team. And Kentucky comes in right around where Tennessee is in these power rankings. I'll tell you more on that here in just a moment. So South Carolina's on the rise. Kentucky's a very solid football team that can beat you. Georgia's at the top. Florida's down. Missouri is I don't think Missouri is a good football team. I don't understand the hype around Eli Drinkwitz. And again, we'll talk more on that here in just a moment. But Missouri is down. Maybe Missouri can, catapult up the rankings if JT Daniels ends up committing and becoming a Tiger. That could change some things. And then Vanderbilt's in the cellar, right? I mean, Vanderbilt's kind of been where it's been for quite some time. So for Tennessee to take a step and to truly be the second best team in the SEC East, it's obviously got to take a step defensively. And we've been talking about it all spring practice long about how, linebackers. And that was a hot topic on Wednesday morning's starting lineup on 99.1 The Sports Animal. It's where I work. And of course, I write for VolQuest.com. That's the rival site covering Tennessee. If you're new to the show, got to plug that in there. They tell me to every single day. I know you guys get annoyed by that, but it's a new audience every single day. That's how you got to treat it, right? But it was a hot topic on the show because the linebacker group, Brian John Murray, spoke to the media earlier this week, and he feels so much better about the group of guys he has in now than he did this time last year in spring, of course, because he had nobody. And then, during the season, when you play three guys, two of which, in my opinion, should have been touching the field. Jeremy Banks is the guy in the middle there for Tennessee, and he still has another level that he can reach, in my opinion. He's got to play under control. That's what Brian John Murray said yesterday. But Roman Harrison said, hey, Jeremy Banks is our leader. Jeremy Banks is a leader on this defense. And if you would have said that 2 years ago, I would have said, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. But the strides that he's making, and I'm the biggest Jeremy Banks critic there is, and I always will be. That's nothing against him. It's just there's a lot of things that he does and he has in the past that I don't like, on and off the field, obviously. But he's gotten so much better. You guys have heard me say that countless times, and he is Tennessee's most important player defensively, in my opinion. Is he Tennessee's best player defensively? You can obviously make that case. I would still probably say Byron Young. I think Tyler Barron has a lot to give. But Jeremy Banks, in terms of talent-wise, is up there. But I think he's the most important player on this defense because he's the eraser in the middle of the field, and he can overcompensate for some deficiencies around him. But nonetheless, he's got to continue to play well. The linebacker group as a whole, Juwan Mitchell was practicing this spring, but he's not doing any contact. But every time we go out there, he's wearing a yellow practice jersey, simulating no contact, but he's in full pads. He's going through all the drills, the steps, the reads, all that type of stuff. He's just not doing 11 on 11, inside run, all that type of stuff because he's not clear for contact yet, but he will be. If Juwan Mitchell, the guy that I was the most excited about in the offseason of 2021, comes in here and gives you anything a year later, that's a plus. I thought he was going to have the biggest impact on the Tennessee football team last year. And I knew outside of the quarterback conversation, because Joe Milton and/or Hendon Hooker, one of those guys was going to be your quarterback, right? It was not going to be Harrison Bailey. Ended up being Milton. And then obviously now we know the rest is history with Hendon Hooker. But I thought Juwan Mitchell was going to be your just a stud defensively. If you can get anything from him, that's going to help out that middle layer of the defense. Plus, Aaron Beasley's gotten better. Solon Page has gotten better. They had to get better because they played so much. If those guys are reserves, you're feeling so much better about where you are. And plus, they can come in and spell your starters. They can come in and give you a breather. They had nobody that could do that last year. Solon Page was the guy that came in to give breathers. I mean, literally, you had no depth. Elijah Herring's a true freshman. He's here as an early enrollee. He will get to that point to where he can be in the two deep and he can spell somebody if they need it for a series or for a couple of plays. Aaron Willis, a lot of you guys have been asking about Aaron Willis. He was one of the most intriguing prospects coming in for that class of 2021, in my opinion. But remember, he didn't practice because of an off-the-field incident last spring, and he never saw the field outside of special teams. He is very much undersized, but he is getting a little bit bigger. I was talking with somebody in the comment section, and on YouTube, and I said I would get a better look at him. I did. I think that he's gotten a little bit bigger, but it would shock me if he was over 210, to be completely honest. Again, it's progress. Brian John Murray said that he's starting to come along and the game's starting to slow down for him a little bit. So you feel so much better about that middle layer of the defense without a doubt, right? You're still going to try to add something via the transfer portal for sure. So if Tennessee's defense is going to take a step up, I think it starts with the middle layer of the defense with those linebackers. And of course, you'll get your reinforcements at cornerback. Maybe you'll add to the transfer portal. It's a lot of vets back there playing cornerback. Maybe Desmond Williams can step up and give you something. Maybe Christian Charles can play kind of a role player at cornerback, at safety, maybe even star. Um, but I agree with Jesse's synopsis right here. If Tennessee's going to take a step, the defense has to come around. I'm not breaking any news here. You guys know this. So, of course, you got to find 2 more receivers. Maybe you'll bring in a receiver via the transfer portal. I would imagine that. Brew McCoy. Um, you've, of course, got to settle on that offensive tackle position. But for Tennessee to take a step, the defense must take a step for sure. So we'll talk about what that step might look like in terms of win-loss and all that. Of course, we got plenty of time before the season. But the SEC On3 power rankings per Jesse Simonson has Tennessee as at number 5 in the 1 through 14 poll. We'll continue to look at these power rankings. I'll tell you where the rest of the SEC East stacks up and who's at the top here in just a moment. But I want to tell you about something that I use pretty much every single day. I didn't have the time. I wanted better gut health. I wanted more energy because you guys know I work 4 jobs. I wanted to optimize immune system. I hated taking pills. I hated taking vitamins. I just wanted a supplement that actually tastes great and wanted to see what all the hype was about. So I tried Athletic Greens. I tried Athletic Greens. Okay, it's now I've been on it for a couple of months. It doesn't taste like it's super healthy. It kind of has a mild tropical taste, and I actually look forward to taking it each and every morning. What is this stuff? With 1 delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, and probiotics. It helps you start the day the right way, okay? It's a special blend of ingredients supporting your gut health, nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, aging, all of those things. Man, I want to look young, right? I'm on camera right now, and I could stand to lose maybe 5 to 10 years in terms of just my overall age, right? The AG1 helps with all that. So if any of this is interested to you, if you want to check it out and look and research more about what AG1 certainly is, you can do it at athleticgreens.com/college. And you're going to get a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. That's all you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/college. Again, athleticgreens.com/college to take ownership over your overall health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. That's AG1. Hey, everybody. Welcome back into this Thursday edition of Locked On Vols. Glad to have you guys along for the ride. Thank you so much for your continued support for this podcast, both on YouTube. Those subscribers were already over 1,000, so thank you so much. But they continue to trend up in the right direction. The views are up there, and I can't wait till football season. You want to talk about breaking the mold here. I mean, we're going to get so many views on YouTube during football season, and it is going to be awesome. I can't wait for that. And I'm not just saying that because the more views and the more subscribers, the more money I get. Not just saying it because of that, but obviously that is a plus. But guys, thank you so much. Truly, it means more to me than you'll ever know. I'm your host, Eric Kane. We're talking On3 SEC power rankings from former Tennessee beat writer Jesse Simonson. New gig with On3, so congratulations to him, formerly of VolQuest.com, where I work, and the SEC country. He has Tennessee in the 1 through 14 SEC power rankings pitted at number 5. That is the second best team in the SEC East. Of course, Georgia is at number 1. So what does the rest of these rankings look like? Should Georgia be number 1 in these power rankings? I mean, hell, you just won a national championship, right? Well, it's Alabama. This is from Jesse. Ever heard of them? The Tide will and should, but the preseason favorites for your national title: Bryce Young returning at quarterback, Will Anderson at outside linebacker, perhaps the 2 best players in college football. Couldn't agree more with that. Nick Saban told everyone that Alabama will be just fine in the era of the transfer portal, and college football's king was correct. Again, this is from Jesse Simonson on Alabama. Outside of quarterbacks, Caleb Williams, Quinn Ewers, and Spencer Rattler, Alabama arguably added 3 of the most talented players in the transfer portal in tailback Jamar Gibbs, who is a stud, corner Eli Ricks, and wideout Jermaine Burton of, wait for it, Georgia. All three could emerge as stars and likely their lone season in Tuscaloosa, and the trio has quickly impressed coaches and teammates alike early in spring camp. So is it a shocker that Alabama's number one per Simonton in these SEC On3 power rankings? No, it's not. It's Alabama, right? I mean, it's Alabama. It's Alabama. Georgia, who just won the national championship, of course, has to replace so many players on the defense side of the football. Has got to replace a couple of offensive linemen, got to replace a couple of wide receivers, of course. But you do bring back a good returning crop of players and quarterback Stetson Bennett, who, again, we'll see if he's your starting quarterback for Georgia. Isn't it going to be wild? I mean, the story of Stetson Bennett just continues to go, and he continues to prove the haters wrong. You guys know me. I root for the underdog. I was an underdog when I played football. I root for the underdog. But now that I'm on the other side, and I do root for the underdog, I have to acknowledge that the team would be better off with somebody better at quarterback, and they have three guys on roster right now who can play quarterback, in my opinion, better than Stetson Bennett. Maybe two guys now, since obviously you had the departure of gosh, his name's blanking on me. I just JT Daniels. There we go. So nonetheless, that'll be a storyline to watch. Eric Gilbert's coming back. He didn't play at all last year. He's going to play tight end, wanted to play wide receiver, formerly of LSU, but he'll be back. That'll help that a lot as well. A&M comes in at number 3. Jimbo dominated the 2022 class in terms of recruiting. Who's going to be the quarterback? Is it going to be incoming transfer Max Johnson? Is it going to be Haynes King? Could it be 5-star freshman Connor Weigman? That's going to be interesting to follow, but my money would be on Haynes King. Arkansas is at number 4. Interesting. Arkansas is number 4. Got to replace Treylon Burks. He is a stud receiver who is going to be off to the NFL draft. We'll see. Of course, you've got a good quarterback. You got a nice offensive line. Bumper Pool is no longer there. He was there for about 10 years. But Drew Sanders of Alabama was one of those incoming newcomers. Latavius Burney of Georgia is in there at defensive back. They also added Dwight McLaughlin of LSU, Landon Jackson of LSU as well. So those guys will likely start. Arkansas was a good team last year and is going to get even better this year, in my opinion. Then comes in Tennessee, number 5. Kentucky is right behind the Volunteers at number 5. Christian Rodriguez Jr., the running back, is back. He is really, really good. Wan'Dale Robinson is no longer there, but he was a really talented wide receiver, so that's going to be troublesome for Kentucky. You got to replace an offensive coordinator, of course, that went back to the NFL. You added Tavion Robinson for Virginia Tech and Javon Baker from Alabama. So both of those guys will help as well. But Will Levis at quarterback. You're good there at quarterback. You're good there at running back. You're good on the offensive line. You're going to be fine on defense. So Kentucky will be solid. At number 7, you've got Mississippi State. You got a good quarterback and you got an offensive wizard to coach. You're going to score some points, Rob. Much like Tennessee, can you stop anybody? We'll have to see. 8 is going to be LSU. New coach. Jesse Jokes' new accents. LSU is going to be back at the cream of the crop in terms of one of the best powers of the SEC. I give it a year. Brian Kelly is a horrible human being. Brian Kelly is a horrible, horrible person. Horrible. But he is a good football coach. Urban Meyer is a horrible human being. I'm about to go off on a tangent here. Opening day, Rob Manfred sucks, but Urban Meyer is a horrible human being. But he continued to get jobs because he was a great football coach. Now, it opens some people's eyes down there in Jacksonville. Even Urban Meyer was just too horrible of a human being, and also the team sucks. So we'll see if Urban Meyer gets back into coaching. But nonetheless, Brian Kelly's a good coach. LSU is a hotbed of recruiting. So much talent in there. The facilities are fantastic. Who's going to be the quarterback, though? Is it going to be Miles Brennan? Is it going to be Garrett Nusseimer, or is it going to be Jaden Daniels? That's going to be one of the most intriguing quarterback battles in the country. Who will start for LSU? Who comes in at number 8 in these power rankings? Ole Miss is at number 9. Got to replace your offensive coordinator. Got to replace your defensive coordinator. Got to replace your starting quarterback. I'm high on Lane Kiffin as an offensive mind and play caller, even though I know he didn't call the plays last year. But really killed the portal this offseason, brought in running back Zach Evans, one of the 14 transfers that have come in. Jackson Dart from Southern Cal's coming in. Michael Trigg, the tight end from USC. Kari Coleman, the edge rusher from TCU. Ole Miss, can you overcompensate for the departures of some key personnel? We will have to see. Then comes in Florida at number 10. I think Florida will be just fine. I don't think it will rise back to prominence as fast as LSU does, but Florida's got a good coach in Billy Napier. You got an athletic quarterback in Anthony Richardson. Jack Miller, of course, might have something to say about that, but Florida comes in at number 10. South Carolina is at number 11. Be interested to see how Spencer Rattler goes well with Austin Stogner and some of the other highly caliber recruits via the transfers via the portal that Shane Beamer has brought in. Auburn's at number 12. Boy, it is a train wreck, but you do have Tank Bigsby. Which is huge. Zach Calzada will likely be your starting quarterback. Potentially, you got to of course battle TJ Finley and Robbie Ashford. I think Auburn will be what Auburn is always. It'll be 8-4, and the fan base will be super, super annoyed, but it will be a solid football team at like 8-4. That's what I think about Auburn. Missouri comes in at number 13. I think Missouri sucks. You lost your All-American running back, Tyler Beatty. You lost your quarterback in, oh gosh, what was his name? I'm blanking right now. Whenever I branch out and talk about all the SEC, I forget names all the time. But your quarterback, Connor Bazelak, there you go, transferred out. Sam Horn, who was Tennessee's number 2 choice behind, here I go again, behind obviously the guy from Martin, Tennessee, who signed with Alabama. Nonetheless, at the quarterback for the class of 2022, Sam Horn, he went to Missouri, and we'll see if he's going to be a contender in this battle. But if you get JT Daniels, Missouri's going to bolster up the charts, in my opinion, because you're just going to be that much better. And then coming into the cellar will be Ty Simpson was his name. There we go. See, it always comes back to me. When you cover recruiting, you have tons and tons of names. And then Vanderbilt's in the cellar. Who's it going to be? Ken Seals, Mike Wright at quarterback. I think Mike Wright's better, but we'll have to see. Those are your SEC power rankings. Breaking it down in short real quick. Alabama's at 1. This is the west side, okay? Or excuse me, let me start with the east. This is the east side. Georgia's your top team in the east. They're number 2 overall per these power rankings. Tennessee is number 2. They're 5 overall. Kentucky is number 3. They're 6th overall. Florida is number 4. They're 10th overall. South Carolina is 5th and 11th overall. Missouri is 6th at 13th overall. And Vanderbilt is 7th at 14th overall. You want to see which side has more talent coming into the 2022 season? Look at that. The last 4 teams in the SEC power rankings per On3 in the East hail from the SEC East. It's Florida at 10th, South Carolina 11th, Missouri at 13th, Vanderbilt at 14th. I'm missing that 12th team. That 12th team is Auburn. So, 4 of the last 5 essentially. Look over the West. It's Alabama is at 1. A&M is the 3rd team in this power rankings behind Georgia, but 2nd in the West. Arkansas is the 3rd team from the West, 4th overall. Mississippi is the 4th team from the West, 7th overall. LSU, the 5th team from the West, 8th overall. Ole Miss, the 16th from the West, the 6th team from the West, 9th overall. And Auburn, the 7th team from the West, 12th overall. So, Jesse, appreciate the content you're giving us here on Locked On Vols. Again, check it out. Jesse Simonson starting a new gig with On3 Sports, and he put out his SEC power rankings right here during the middle of spring practice. All right. It's opening day. Hence, if you're watching on YouTube, my Atlanta Braves jersey. World champs, can never take it away. World champs. And really looking forward to that. What about some former Vols? Where are they playing in the show and in the minors? We'll discuss that here coming up next on Locked On Vols. But right now, if you haven't got your futures in there for the World Series picks, for the divisional crowns, both in the National League East or the league crowns, the pennant, all that and more, your MVPs, get them in now because again, opening day starts tomorrow, or the time you're listening right now, it starts right now. BetOnline.net is your number 1 source for all your sports betting needs and information. Find all the latest sports developments, including this week's Masters Championships, futures on baseball like we're talking about, betting odds, podcast reviews for all the different leagues this season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. Head to the website today or check it out on your mobile device to learn more about the latest trends and all the action. Ronald Acuna Jr., your future MVP, maybe not this year. I would take Juan Soto this year because Acuna Jr. is going to miss a little bit of time before he gets back to form. But get that futures in for opening day today. BetOnline.net. It is where the game starts. Welcome back into a Thursday show. I'm your host, Eric Kane. This is Locked On Vols, your first listen each and every day. Okay, opening day. It's starting to really thunderstorm outside my window where I'm recording this in real time. So hopefully the power doesn't go out. Behind the curtain a little bit, but back to the show. Opening day, okay? Tennessee Vols in the pros. How many? Where are they? I'll tell you right now. And of course, this is fluid because you have Vols who have been drafted who are currently in minor league camps where they might start out high A, low A, double A, triple A, wherever the case may be. I'm going to go and tell you what I know right now, but keep in mind this is a fluid list. It will change throughout the season. That's the nature of minor league baseball. But in the show right now, Garrett Crochet, who's injured, likely to have Tommy John surgery, which really, really sucks. He is with the Chicago White Sox, and of course, he's already made a name for himself in the show. Yan Gomes, catcher, is with the Chicago Cubs. Nick Senzel, former top 5 pick and third baseman for the University of Tennessee. Now he's playing outfield for the Cincinnati Reds. And Drew Steckenrider, of course, the pitcher, he is now with the Seattle Mariners. He's been in the league for quite a minute. Those 4 players right now, to my knowledge, are your Tennessee Vols who are in the show. What about managers or coaches, right? Did you guys know, as you see on YouTube, I'm wearing my Atlanta Braves jersey, did you guys know that former manager Freddie Gonzalez, who I like Freddie a lot, he was obviously set to fail there his last season. Of course, they canned him, but obviously you got Brian Snickner now and you won a World Series. So nonetheless, Freddie Gonzalez, did you know that former Braves manager, former Marlins manager Freddie Gonzalez was a graduate assistant at the University of Tennessee back in the early 90s? I think it was 90 and 91, maybe 91, 92. 2 years he spent as a GA at the University of Tennessee. How about that? Really? How about that? Had no clue. Freddie Gonzalez is the bench coach right now for the Baltimore Orioles, and Jeff Pickler is the game planning outfield coach for the Cincinnati Reds. Of course, he has volunteer ties as well. To our knowledge, again, let's get into the minor leagues. This is fluid. Don't quote me on this. It changes all the time. And of course, minor league baseball season, some leagues have already started this week. Some will start later this weekend. This is a fluid situation. A lot of this is kind of where they ended last year and where they're projected to begin this season. Justin Amons, outfielder for the Vancouver Canadians. That's high A for the Toronto Blue Jays. You've got Chad Dallas. He is a pitcher in the Toronto Blue Jays system as well. Zach Daniels, he is an outfielder for the Asheville Taurus. That's high A for the Houston Astros. Max Ferguson, last we saw him, he was at the Lake Elsinore Storm, low A affiliate of the Padres. I don't know. But of course, Max Ferguson, your second baseman for a long time for Tennessee. Zach Godley, of course, he's had more than a cup of coffee in Major League Baseball before, but he's in the Mets system right now. We'll have to see if he cracks an opening day roster. I'll need to check on that. I must have missed his name here. Sean Humley is with the Rays in one of their lower levels. Jackson Leith is with the Texas Rangers, one of their lower levels as well. Andrew Lee, formerly of Morristown West High School, arch rival for your Jefferson County Patriots. Of course, he has made it as high as AAA with the Nationals right now. So he is knocking down the door. He is beating down the door right now, Andrew Lee, to getting back to the show. Zach Lingenfelter, of course, from Sevier County High School, former Tennessee Volunteers. He is with the, wait for it, your Smokies arch rival, the Rocket City Trash Pandas. How about that? The affiliate of the LA Angels. Ricky Martinez, infielder. Actually, Ricky Martinez, I believe, is I believe Ricky Martinez is back with Tennessee as a volunteer coach. But Zach Lingenfelter, we mentioned him. Andre Lipsius, I skipped over him. Of course, we all know Andre, very good left side of the infield defender. He is with the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Detroit Tigers system. Last we saw him, he was at AA with the Erie Seawolves. Connor Pavoloni, catcher, he is with the Baltimore Orioles, probably in low A, maybe high A this season. Jake Rucker, he is with the Fort Myers Mighty Muscles. That's low A affiliate of the Minnesota Twins. Andrew Schultz, pitcher with the Jersey Shore Blue Claws. That's a high A affiliate of the Philadelphia Phillies. You have Kyle Serrano, pitcher with the Corpus Christi Hooks, AA affiliate of the Houston Astros. Alaric Solare, very, very good outfielder. Fort Myers Mighty Muscles, low A, again with the Minnesota Twins. So teammates with Jake Rucker, it looks like there. How about that? Or at least in the same system right now. Liam Spence, goodness gracious, Liam Spence is with the Cubs. Has he made it all the way up to AAA right now? How about that? Liam Spence with the Chicago Cubs in that organization. Garrett Stallings, He is with the Baltimore Orioles, maybe at Double-A in Biloxi, or excuse me, Bowie, the Bay Sox potentially. Christian Stewart, outfielder. Now, he has played some Major League Baseball before. So, Christian Stewart, last we saw him, the Toledo Mud Hens, Triple-A of the Detroit Tigers. Chase Wallace is in the lower levels for the New York Mets. Actually, here's what happened. I saw the Columbia Fireflies when I was in the Mets system as a broadcaster, not a player. The Columbia Fireflies were the high A affiliate or actually they were the low A affiliate for the New York Mets, but they have since changed affiliations. They're now with the Royals. So Chase Wallace might be with the Columbia Fireflies. That is low A for the Kansas City Royals. And lastly, Zach Warren, Double-A Reading Fighting Phils with the Philadelphia Phillies. So I might have missed somebody, but that's what I know right now, and this is fluid, but I wanted to give you guys an update of kind of where some former Tennessee baseball players are or where they're kind of around in their trek to the show. But to my knowledge, Garrett Crochet, Jan Gomes, Nick Senzel, and Drew Steckenrider are in the show right now. Crochet's injured, won't be on the opening day roster, but Gomes with the Cubs, Senzel with the Reds, and Steckenrider with the Seattle Mariners. Happy opening day, everybody. And don't forget to check up on your VFL and see where they are in their progression to Major League Baseball. All right, that'll do it here for a Thursday show. Fun show. Really went over those power rankings, really broke those down. Check out the full power rankings, read up on all the synopsis from Jesse Simonson, new with On3 Sports. That's what we kind of rode with today here on the show. And, of course, opening day about where Tennessee Volunteers are in their progression through the minor leagues to getting up to the show. That'll do it here for this episode of Locked On Vols. Your first listen each and every day. You guys know the drill. NFL Draft, Locked On the NFL Draft, just a couple of weeks away right now. Give that a listen. Your second listen right behind Locked On Vols. Guys, thanks so much. Enjoy it. If this is a national holiday for you, happy opening day, everybody. We'll be back for a Friday show right here on Locked On Vols.